Hello. Can everyone hear me? Hi, Sophie. Hi, Maude. I'm so excited. Of course, I'll just let people join us for a few minutes before I get started. I think actually I will also put my room light on since the sun is very bright. Give me one sec. It made no difference. It's okay. How's everyone doing? Happy Halloween. I love pumpkins. Oh, here. This is my pumpkin, guest of honor. I don't have a name for this pumpkin, so you can suggest names in the comments. We'll get started in just a minute or two. Ah, I see where the sun is now. Hi, Jackie. Thank you. They're my roommates. Is anyone dressed for Halloween? Obviously, I can't see you, but just let me know if you're wearing a costume. This is my casual concert blacks / cat costume / Sagittarius, but it's Scorpio season. We'll wait one more minute for friends to join. You can share this link, this live stream, on your socials if you want your friends to come join us and have fun. Sophie says, I'm dressed as myself because I'm fabulous. Hey, if that's not the truth, I don't know what is. Maude says, I'm going to do Elsa and my sister Anna. Send me pictures. Oh my God. I love Frozen. About 10-15 seconds, I will start my little spiel. You know, I start with the spiel. And then, of course, there'll be music and chatting. All right, let's get started. Oh, wait. Jackie says, oh, Jackie's dog will be watching as well. Although she's scared of the flute, so she might leave. That's adorable. Yeah, it's okay. I still love Edie. Don't worry about it. All right, let's get going. Welcome, everyone, to this third installment of Caitlin's Cozy Concerts, the concert series where you can stay cozy at home and not catch COVID. Thank you for spending the next hour or so with me. It will be a bit shorter today, as I was supposed to have a special guest who was going to play a piece with me extra from the pieces that I'm going to play today. But of course, it's not quite safe enough for us to have rehearsed and to be playing live in person today. So the concert might be just a bit shorter than an hour. I hope you're doing well today. Obviously, it's Halloween. So as I was saying at the beginning, I have my pumpkin as our guest of honor. You can leave name suggestions in the comments because I don't have a name for it, but you know, it's good to name live things. Okay. Of course, I begin every concert with a land acknowledgement. I want to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the St. Lawrence Iroquoians, the Mohawk, and the Haudenosaunee. The land we call Montreal is actually called Tiohtià:ke. I got this info from a website called native-land.ca. You can find out which tribes the land you live on belongs to, and the link to that website is in the description box below. It's important to recognize the history of colonization and genocide in Canada and the effects it still has on the Indigenous communities throughout the country. And I will address some recent events shortly. Each concert, I will be sending half of all proceeds to the Indigenous or Black communities of Montreal as a form of reparations. In the description box below, I put my email address and PayPal information to encourage you to send money. So the information's there, but just so you have it while you're listening, my email address is caitlin.berger06@gmail.com. And you can go to PayPal at paypal.me/Caitlin Berger Flute. The other half of the proceeds will go towards supporting my music career in general and the work that I put into these concerts, which includes, of course, all the practicing and programming that I do, purchasing sheet music, getting my flute tuned up, which I did recently. Isn't it gorgeous? Look how shiny. Anyways. And obviously, and buying proper equipment for the concerts, all sorts of stuff. So that's where the other 50% of your donation will be going. Very importantly, if you send more than $10, so you could send $10.50, doesn't matter, anything more than $10, I will send you back a link to a fun music video of a song that I recorded. And it's a different song each month. So make sure to leave your email address in the message or description box of the e-transfer or the PayPal transfer so that I can then send you that link. And of course, any amount helps. Don't feel bad if you can only spare $2. I will be happy to accept it, honestly. I'm going to catch up on some comments. Any comments? Sophie says shiny. Yeah, very shiny. Flutes are great. So this month, I will be sending money directly to Indigenous people in need in the Montreal area. There is a Facebook group called Settlement Reparations for Indigenous People Montreal and surrounding area. I have put that in the description box. Basically, Indigenous people can post requesting financial help and settlers can send them money directly. So of course, the group isn't just for Indigenous people. There have to be non-Indigenous people who join the group to then send Indigenous people money. Our governments have not even come close to doing enough for the health and safety of Indigenous communities, which is why we as individuals have to step up in many ways, but especially financially. I will also always remind you each concert that there is a course that you can take for free. This is the point at which I repeat the word free. Through the University of Alberta. I have put the link in the description box. You watch videos, lectures, you do some readings, and you take quizzes. And you learn factual history from the perspective of the most marginalized communities. Priam says, I wish I had cat ears like that. I was going to just go to the dollar store and get some, but I figured I would ask my roommate if they had some cat ears before walking all the way down to where I need to Dollarama. And they had cat ears, so that saved me a trip. But I'm sure they would have had it Dollarama. Speaking of costumes, this is my costume. It is Halloween, and unfortunately, scary things have been happening in this country. Recently, there have been some awful things going on in Nova Scotia, which is on the east coast of Canada, concerning the fishing rights of the Mi'kmaq community there, and white settlers causing harm and violence to those communities stemming from racism and colonialism. There was also a horrific incident in Joliette, Quebec at the end of September. It was just after my last concert, which is why I hadn't spoken about it then, but an Atikamekw woman named Joyce Echequan was left to die by nurses at the hospital she was in, and she went live on her social media to film what was happening to her, and the staff was shouting abuse and slurs at her, and she ended up dying in their care. As well, just as recently as Thursday, which was 2 days ago, a Black man named Sheffield Matthews was shot and killed by police in my neighborhood. I don't know the exact street, but I'm sure it was in walking distance of where I live in NDG. The man, Sheffield, was struggling with mental health issues and the cops were called to help, but instead they did what they were trained to do, which is to uphold white supremacy at all costs. I have left a few resources in the description box below. Please check them out. There are ways to get informed as well as help as best as you can regarding these events. Canada has committed human rights violations and atrocities against Indigenous and Black communities since the first white people arrived on this land. And we must acknowledge this and work towards decolonization in many ways. We must also defund and abolish the police. So those are the bad, scary things happening, but some good things will happen during this concert and during the concert series that I do every last Saturday of the month. So along with paying reparations through your generous donations, I'm committed to featuring at least one composer who is non-white and or non-male each concert. You can definitely send me suggestions or requests for pieces, and I'll see what I can do. I'm passionate about changing the classical music canon for the better. There are many, many wonderful composers that should be more well-known and have their music played more often. Finally, I want to announce the theme for this concert, which is, of course, dark and spooky. It's Halloween, so what other theme could I have chosen? So I want to encourage you to leave your favorite Halloween movies. I don't want to say any examples because I want you to share first, and then I will share back. And in general, please, please leave comments in the chats. I will be taking a look unless I'm playing. And so you can ask me questions or leave comments about anything. Doesn't have to relate exactly to what I'm talking about this second. It could be general comments about the flute or social justice. Of course, I'll answer as best as I can. But I really want this to be a space where we can have discussions and have fun. And then I will play some music for you. So we will get started with that. Jackie says, thanks for sharing those events and for the resources, Caitlin. You're welcome, Jackie. It is a small list, but it's a start. So definitely make sure to also, Google for some extra information. I don't know if there's, GoFundMes. I hadn't seen any for anything that I mentioned so far, but yeah. Sophie says, yes, move over Beethoven. Funny you say that, Sophie. I actually love Beethoven so much. But yeah, we don't only have to play Beethoven every classical music concert. There are other people. All right, so we will move on to the first piece of the program. It's not too scary, this one. In fact, it's not scary at all. But we're starting off slow. This concert is a progression from not so scary to scary. So the first piece is the third Telemann fantasy in his series of 12, which I'm making my way through during each concert. This fantasy is in B minor, and it has two main movements. And the first movement has some slow parts, and then it goes into a fast part. So it feels like extra movements, but the slow parts are really short. Anyways, if it is your first time hearing of this composer, Telemann, he was a German composer back in the Baroque period, which was more or less the first half of the 1700s. I first heard this fantasy performed by a friend of mine a few years ago, and I love the theme and the harmonies that are implied. I say implied because it's a piece for solo flute. So there are no chords under us, no accompaniment as we play in comparison to when we would play with the piano or harpsichord or really just any other instrument. So I think of the first movement as kind of melancholy, but with some passion underneath that. Like maybe someone is telling a story and you can derive which emotions they feel as the piece goes on. The second movement is kind of like a jig or a gigue in French, which is a dance. And it's more peppy than you may be expecting on Halloween. But maybe you can imagine like a spooky creature dancing instead of humans. There are two sections to the second movement. and each section repeats itself. So I've done what is traditional with this style of music, and I've added some ornaments when I repeat each section. Ornaments are pretty much what they sound like, basically just extra notes here and there to embellish the main music material. And this was a huge part of Baroque music playing back in the day. They would improvise ornaments all the time. I'm not really improvising, I've decided them beforehand, but these are ones that I came up with more or less by myself, of course. Always being influenced by other musicians obviously helps in my ornament decisions. Anyways, I hope you enjoy this fantasy, of course. Please let me know what you think in the comments, what it makes you think of, any images or emotions or stories, that sort of thing. All right, so this is the Telemann Fantasy number 3 in B minor. I will be taking off my cat ears for the performing parts, just in case I want to use these videos, in the future. I don't want to necessarily timestamp them, so. The sun is so bright. Wow. I can't see very well right now. Ah! So that was that fantasy. I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, Jackie. Jackie's dog woke up when I started playing and tilted her head. That's very cute. Any questions or comments you want to share, please feel free. Sophie says, amazing. Thank you, Sophie. I really like that one. It's one of my favorite of the 12 fantasies. Who else is watching? Say hi if you haven't said hi yet. Obviously, I don't know. I can't see exactly who's watching. Jackie says really calming. Oh, yeah, yeah. See, we're starting off, safe. It's Halloween, but got to start on a safer footing. Maud says, love this piece. Oh, very nice. Ariane says, bravo. Thank you. Merci. So sweet. Just a reminder, of course, for the donations, I have left my email address and PayPal information in the description box. 50% is going to support my career in general and the work I put into these concerts, a huge part of which is the purchasing of sheet music. Unfortunately, a lot of the classical music that is in the public domain, meaning more or less free to use, most of that music was written by white dudes, right? So given that I want to feature non-white people or non-male people, it does mean I have to purchase the sheet music, which of course I do, and I am happy to do to support usually living composers or just very recently deceased composers. But of course, it costs dollars. So that's where that 50% is going mostly. And of course, the other 50% this month is going to Indigenous people in need in the Montreal area. It really pains me to see people posting in that group who are missing money just for rent or food. And I can't always donate for every single person I see, right? So that's why I'm really eager to send money their way, support them, since the government is not doing that. So Ariane says, merci pour les infos du début pour supporter la communauté autochtone. De rien, Ariane, ça me fait plaisir. C'est très important pour moi de faire ça. Donc, ouais, je suis toujours contente de faire ça. All right, well, we'll move on to, the second piece. Where did my ears go? So these ears don't quite make sense with the name of the next piece, but you'll understand why I don't really have a costume to go with this next piece. It's a bit weirder, a bit spookier. We're advancing into that realm, and it's called Danse de la Chèvre, which basically means the goat's dance. I don't have a costume that makes me look like a goat, so that's it. The cat ears are what you get. But yes, so Danse de la Chèvre is a piece for solo flute. It was written by Arthur Honegger. Honegger was a Swiss composer who mostly lived in France in the first half of the 20th century. I first learned this piece in 2016, and I played it when I studied with Julien Baudimont at the Orford Music Academy. He's a wonderful, wonderful French flutist. We had a lot of fun working on it together and coming up with a specific story and images for each part of the piece. There's different sections of the piece. At one point, he asked me to explain, what my idea of what was happening in this certain section that we got to. And I was speaking to him in French, and I said le chèvre by accident, which meant that I was calling the goat a male, but it's supposed to be female. And he looked at me and he was like, le chèvre, and he was like so upset. And I was like, Caitlin, it's the title of the piece. Like, hello. Anyways, that was embarrassing. Mode. Jackie says, oh, in relation, I think, to my cat ears, my cheetah girl 11, 10-year-old self loves them anyway. I love that. Mode is excited for this piece, I think. Jackie says, I totally played this piece, but can't even remember how it goes at all. Well, hey, no worries, because in about 1 or 2 minutes, you'll remember. So the piece starts out really slowly, and you're not quite sure where it's going. It's a bit creepy, a bit eerie. And I think of it as like the goat deep in thought, reflecting on the dance that it's about to launch into. Then it transitions into a lively dance, and that is what the composer indicated for that section. The dance itself sounds kind of lopsided and a bit clunky, like perhaps a goat dancing. I don't know where I got that from, but there are two. There's a section in the middle of the dance where all of a sudden it's very slow and it's a different character all of a sudden, and then it comes back later as well. So at Orford, I basically came up with this image of the main goat, the one who was dancing, suddenly stops dancing because they see another goat approach. Sorry, this is so ridiculous. And they find this goat attractive. Like, they're like, oh, wow, a new goat is coming. And so they sing them a pretty song. Please come up with something better than that for me when you listen to this. Anyways, that's just what I think of. It's a weird piece. Obviously, please let me know what it makes you think of, or kind of the story that you have in your head. Of course, the only indication, like the only background that is that it's, you know, a goat dancing, but there's different sections to the piece, so you can kind of imagine what might be happening for each section. So definitely let me know what you think. Sophie says the goat should be non-binary. Yes, yes, that's true. Especially because, like, in French, there's only 2 genders in the French language, not factually. There is not just 2 genders. But so it can be very annoying to only have to defer to masculine or feminine for things that have gender. And of course, goats definitely have genders. I don't know what they are, but Mode says goat love is love. That is very true. That is very true. Also, can anyone think of a name for this pumpkin? Any names, suggestions? Also, let me know your favorite Halloween movies. If you have them, I guess. If you don't, that's okay. As I said, I don't watch horror movies or anything, but I have some like Halloween adjacent movies that I really like that I want to share with you, but I won't share it unless you share. Mode says Le Chèvre. Mode, bringing back bad memories. All right, so as I play, of course, enjoy, but you can think of names for this pumpkin. You can tell me your favorite Halloween movie and tell me what this piece makes you think of, basically. Oh, Mode says Le Chèvre as a name for the pumpkin. Hey, I will hang on to that suggestion. So this is Danse de la Chèvre by Arthur Honegger. So that was the goat's dance. Got my ears back on. Ariane says, the song is very spooky, makes me kind of think of the devil in hell because it's represented with horns and hooves. Yeah, I watched way too much of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Jackie's remembering the song in the piece. Reminds me of the weird goat scene in Drag Me to Hell. I don't know it, but probably just because it has a goat. Sophie says, what a creepy dance. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it is creepy. Jackie also said she has lots of favorite Halloween movies. Hocus Pocus is my all-time fave, she says. I watched it for the first time last week. But I also like Sinister, Midsommar, The Haunting of Hill House, and Bly Manor. I've heard lots of things about those ones. And Jackie is very obsessed with American Horror Story. Yeah, I've been too scared to watch American Horror Story. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I know it's very good. Jackie says this piece actually reminds me so much of the horror movie Suspiria. I feel like I've heard of it. Again, I'm probably not going to watch it ever. But Jackie, you have shared some of your favorite Halloween movies. I will share two because you shared so many. So one of my favorite Halloween movies is The Nightmare Before Christmas, which like crossover, right? Halloween, also Christmas movie. We're not sure. I mostly just like it for the songs. I think the story can be problematic in many ways. The main character, the hubris is up to here. But I love the songs in Nightmare Before Christmas. Another one of my favorite, probably my all-time favorite Halloween kind of themed or Halloween adjacent movies is the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I mean, there's not much to say about it. I think it's iconic, classic. I know most of the songs off by heart. Absolutely, absolutely wonderful. So I'm going to watch that tonight, actually, because I haven't watched it this season yet. I have some other favorite Halloween movies. So if you want to coax them out of me, you got to share some of yours. And if you don't have any, that's fine. Just let me know, and I'll still share some of mine. Aliane says, I was watching Nightmare Before Christmas this morning. Yes, yes. It's a funny one because it's like two holidays in one. So it's like you're not sure which holiday it fits best. I still think Halloween because of the story, but yeah. Any questions or comments you want to share with me? Of course, go ahead. You can send me donations through the information link below. I accept e-transfers. PayPal is good too. I recently found out that Americans don't have like e-transfer. I didn't really fact check, but I do think it's true, which I think is wild because as a Canadian, I always just assume that America, like that the United States has has new things first and then we just get them. So in my head, I don't understand how we have something really useful that they don't have or don't use. I don't know. It's just weird. That was a bit of an aside, but Priam, that movie scared me so much when I was younger. Nightmare Before Christmas? I can imagine. It's definitely, some of it still kind of scares me a bit, or it's just really like intense with like the artistic animation type of thing. Jackie says it's true. Americans don't have e-transfer. They just do Venmo. It takes a day or so, or a fee for instant deposit. That's wild to me. Like, I find that so, I don't understand. Like, I've grown up with like United States culture kind of thing. So like my assumption is that they're the ones that produce interesting things first and it gets like exported to us, which is probably not even actually true necessarily. Clearly not in this case because we have e-transfer, which is like such a useful, amazing thing, and they don't have that, which is so strange to me. And Venmo is kind of like a social network. Yeah, it is kind of strange. But I mean, you could, in terms of sending donations for this concert, of course, you could use PayPal instead of e-transfer, which is why I have that listed. Yeah, I also heard, I know this is kind of off topic for this concert, but I like chatting with y'all. And I said to, anyways, um, Jackie says, not to mention here, at least in my home state, they're just barely starting to do tap to pay. That's another thing I found out recently is that, is that in the United States, when you purchase something with like credit card or debit, you can't like tap the machine, or at least like they're only starting to let you do that. Wild, wild, wild in my brain. I don't understand. It's very scary. So I guess it is, on topic. Yeah, like in the States, as Sophie's bringing up, they take your credit card, to put it in their machine, but like you're not even there in a half. I don't know. Seems very strange. We're going to move on to the next piece on the program. It's even spookier, even darker, even less tonal. And it's entitled Perdao for solo flute by Sergio Roberto de Oliveira, and it was composed very recently in 2011. Perdão means pardon or forgiveness in Portuguese. De Oliveira was a Brazilian pianist, arranger, conductor, and composer. He passed away in 2017, very recently, when he was only 47 years old due to cancer. But in his career, he was successful. He was nominated for the Latin Grammy Awards and worked as a producer as well. I discovered his music while searching for pieces a couple months ago for this concert series, and I liked it right away. There aren't many dynamics or indications in this piece in general, which is interesting because it lets the player really interpret the notes much more and come up with their own phrasing based on how they view the piece. Actually, before I translated the title, I didn't know what it meant at first. I actually thought it meant lost. I guess I was thinking in French perdu, and this is called perdao. So for whatever reason, I assumed it meant lost, like it would in French, which meant that I was about to approach the piece in a very different way than I ended up approaching it once I actually did that translation and realized it doesn't mean lost, it means pardon or forgiveness, that sort of concept. So for me, basically this piece reminds me of someone asking for forgiveness, but it's one-sided. There's just one instrument involved, one person. Maybe this person is talking to someone, asking for forgiveness, and that person isn't responding. Or maybe they're just leaving a voice message, writing a letter, or just thinking of what they're going to say to the person. Basically, they feel sorry for something they've done, and they're trying to explain the situation. They can't always find the right words, but they're trying to convey their remorse. Sometimes they stop talking, they take a breath to reflect, or think about what they're going to say next, and then they keep going. There's a lot of pain and turmoil in this piece, and it gives me a lot to play with as a musician. Of course, I'd love to know what you think of as I'm playing or afterwards. And also, if you didn't know the name of the piece and what it meant, how would that change how you perceive it, or what it makes you think of, which I think is an interesting thing to think about, especially for modern music. So this is Perdao by Sergio Roberto de Oliveira. And it is, of course, for solo flute. Sorry about the sun. I mean, it's aesthetically quite nice, but I don't know if you can see me very well, but I don't have curtains, so I apologize for that. Thank you for listening. Jackie says, so beautiful. Thank you. Sophie says, I can feel how emotional this is. Really pretty too. Thanks. Jackie says, the light kind of looks like a spider web of sorts or an orb that definitely fits in with the theme. That's great. Oh, forgot my cat ears. Jackie says, your tone and vibrato are so great with the mood of this piece, and the exploration of different colors so lovely. Thank you. That's so sweet. Jackie is a flute player, by the way, so her comments, mean a lot. Jackie says, also when your flute moves, the circle at the end makes the prettiest shadow on the wall. Oh, cool. I didn't know that. I'm excited to look back afterwards at the video. Mode has clapping hands emoji. Thank you, Mode. Mode is also a flute player. Thank you. Yeah, this was a really, really interesting piece, especially with all the silences. Like there's bars of silence and shorter silences, rests as well. And I think it's so interesting to explore those because silence is part of music as well, which is an idea that I really love to think about, is how silence fits in with music. I did forget to mention, folks, that if during the live stream, I know it's a bit late, but we still have time. During the live stream, if you send more than $10 my way, either through e-transfer or PayPal, let me know in the comments if it's during the live stream right now, and I will force my roommate to come show you their cat named Oscar. I love this cat. So yeah, think about it. And just let me know if you do send me, because my phone is on airplane mode, so I'm not going to get any notifications. But if you do send more than $10 before I finish this live stream, you will see a real life cat. I know that I have done a great job of pretending to be one. I almost fooled you, I'm sure. But I am not a cat. So there is a real life cat right now in this apartment. Priam says, show it. Priam says, already sent. I'm going to fact check. Sorry, Priam. Priam and Sophie have sent, how much have they sent? 10. 10 and 10. I might still show you. I did say more than 10 as a catch, a bit of a catch, which is like $10.50. 11 is fine, but I will wait. If someone sends more than $10, we will have a cat, a real life cat, on this live stream. I promise. More than 10. It's totally fine though. I'll still send y'all the music video because you're my friends and I appreciate it so much. So that's fine. But to see a cat, I will have to wait until someone says more than $10. Again, it could be like $10.10 for there to be a real life cat. Priam says, I sent it before the incentive. That's true. That is true. We'll wait though, because if someone else does send more than 10, then everyone can see the cat. So it's like a win-win. But if by the end of the live stream, if no one else has sent more than $10, we will see the cat. Don't worry. Sophie says, I want to see a cat. We'll see. Share with your friends. Share this video with your friends. See if we can get some people to come on. I have one more piece to play. Sophie and Priam, I will still send you the music video because you're my friends and I love you. But we need more than $10. I know I said it kind of late. It's kind of my fault. I'm sorry. We'll see how it goes. If by the end, that's all we have, we'll bring the cat in. I'll be nice. Okay. Going to introduce the last piece on the program. So the last piece on this program is perhaps the dark and spookiest of them all. It is Edgar Varèse's Density 21.5. I will make sure that that is what I will be playing. Yes. So this piece, Density 21.5, was commissioned by a flutist named Georges Berger in 1936 to celebrate his platinum flute. For those of you who don't know, flutes are typically made out of nickel, silver, or gold, or a combination of those metals. So a platinum flute is very rare. And this piece is entitled Density 21.5 because that is the density of platinum. It's very heavy. That's what you need to know. The composer Varèse was a French composer, active in the first half of the 20th century, and he spent most of his career in the United States. He was really interested in timbre and rhythm. Timbre is basically another term for tone color or tone quality. In this piece, Varèse definitely makes use of complex rhythms, and he includes a huge range of tone colors and dynamics. Of course, it might be a bit hard, given the fact that I'm doing this on the internet, with a microphone, to perceive the range I'm trying to demonstrate, but hopefully that comes across. You'll notice that similarly to Perdao, the last piece, this piece is atonal. And that basically means that the notes he chooses don't necessarily belong to one key or tonality. You couldn't really sing this like you could a Mozart aria or a children's song. Those are tonal pieces of music, and this is not that. And that is what gives it a spooky vibe. So apart from the Telemann, you'll notice today that the reason the pieces I chose for this dark and spooky theme are pieces that aren't really tonal. So that's why they sound kind of weird. I don't have a specific image or story with this piece in particular. I prefer to focus on the range of dynamics and the rhythms as they pertain to the flexibility of the flute as an instrument. So remember that this piece was written to celebrate a very heavy platinum flute. So Varèse would have wanted to push the limits of what Georges Berger could do with such a flute. I'm not playing on a platinum flute, I'm sorry. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, my flute has recently come back from a full cleaning, oiling, and adjustment. It feels and sounds like a new flute, I swear. It's amazing. I got it done at Twig. If anyone needs instruments adjusting, please go to Twig downtown in Montreal, of course. But yeah, so hopefully my little silver flute can still rival the platinum flute that Georges Berger would have played this piece on. Of course, let me know what you think. As I said, I don't have a specific story or image with this. This is for me more of a, I guess, intellectual or kind of flute specific focus that I have, rather than evoking a certain story or emotion, from my imagination. Disclaimer, there are very loud and high notes in this piece. They're kind of strewn throughout. So please feel free to make use of your volume button. I will have no knowledge of you using it to, make me be a bit more quiet. That is totally fine. It should be okay. I don't think it'll be a harsh sound through your phone or computer. But yes, there are lots of high notes. I will just catch up on some comments. Jackie says, when I played this piece, it definitely scared me because the high notes are so hard. So it definitely fits in with the spooky theme. That's what I thought. If ever there's a time to play this piece, it's now. Sophie says, imagine how much muscle he had on his arms from holding the flute up. Yeah, I've never seen or held or anything or played a platinum flute, but I don't think I'd want to. I feel like it's a bit too heavy. I mean, my flute, given that it's solid silver, I don't know if anyone cares, but given that it's solid silver, and there's a certain density, I think it's, I never remember the density of professional flutes, but it's a thicker wall, we call this. So the actual thickness of the flute is the wall. It's thicker than most intermediate or student flutes. So it is heavier than a student flute, but definitely not as heavy as a platinum flute. So Jackie says sounds like a stairway to carpal tunnel to me. Yes, yeah, me too. I feel like I'd want to try a platinum flute just to say that I've tried it, and I'm sure it would have great resonance. Resonance being kind of the vibration of your air through the tube, um, which contributes a lot to kind of the quality of your sound and to how loud you can play and how far you can project your sound in a given space. Anyways, yeah, I will be now playing for you Density 21.5 by Edgar Varèse. very tiring piece. Oh my god. Sophie says, love the sound of your low notes at the beginning. Thank you. I love playing low notes when they come out. Jackie says, so beautiful. That is how you play this piece. I definitely feel like it is spooky. It could be wind and then high frequencies and footsteps and lots of fear. Yeah, thank you, Jackie. That is really, really kind. Just that last, not last, the section close to the end, there's high Ds, which are, you know, for anyone music inclined, which I know obviously some of you are. This section, I don't know if you can see that. The section here, as you can see, it's a D above the staff, but it's 8BA. It's a octave higher, so it's a high D, which is one of the highest notes on the flute. Surprisingly, we can play higher on a good day. That line, it's 2 lines of music, and it's takes all the air, literally all the air possible in my body. Yeah, it's just so intense. Lots of endurance needed. Jackie says, I've always imagined this piece is like tumbling on a balance beam. So many high notes and kind of feels like being in the air, hoping to land on the next note. Wow, that's fascinating. That's so fascinating. I never would have thought of that. Jackie says, I learned high D for this piece and honestly can't even remember how to do it. Yeah, there's different fingerings, but oh man. Mode says, I've had this sheet music for years and never dared to try to learn it. You could do it, Mode. I know you could do it. It's hard to be super precise. I mean, one of the indications actually that's written on this score, at least this edition, Varèse marks the metronome tempo, which is 72, and there's sections that are at 60 that vary. But at the metronome tempo at the beginning has an asterisk, and he states, always strictly in time, follow metronomic indications. So that's part of what's really hard about this piece, is to not waver in tempo, apart from when the actual tempo does change, as stated by the composer. But that's one of the complexities of this piece, not just the rhythms themselves, which took me a long time to decipher, but to actually remain at some ballpark of quarter note equals 72, which is obviously hard to kind of really like memorize how fast that is. But Mode says, nice job, thank you. Priam says, as hard as the Classical Symphony by Shostakovich. Are you thinking about the one by Prokofiev? So Prokofiev wrote, I think his first symphony was called Classical Symphony, but it was written in a very modern way. There's a whole story behind that. But that piece is notoriously hard for flutists because we do go up to high D. Prokofiev is a composer that I think, like, in every piece that includes the flute, he includes high Ds, which are really uncommon from his time period. More common today. But that piece is hard another way. Personally, I think it's more challenging than Density 21.5, the Classical Symphony, because it's way more rapidly technical. So you have to play really fast and get to high D really fast, which personally I find more challenging. Elodie says, I'm late, but I'm there. Hi, thank you for joining. No worries. Yeah, Jackie, I agree. Both are definitely very difficult to play. They're not that similar in writing and in the complexity of them. So they have their own. They each have their own reasons why they're challenging. Ariane tried to sing along to the high D. I'm only 1 octave short. That's pretty impressive, actually. Wow, that is very impressive. Being able to actually sing D above the staff. That's so funny. Mode, cries and excerpts exam. Yeah, Mode. I'm with you there. I am with you there. Classical Symphony is really hard, but it's one of my favorite pieces of all time. One of my absolute favorite orchestral pieces of all time. That was the last piece on the program. Of course, have some end points to kind of chat about, but I love chatting with y'all. So keep the comments and questions going. Anyone else want to share their favorite Halloween movie? I really want to tell you mine. I have so far I've told you that I like Nightmare Before Christmas and The Rocky Horror Picture Show is my favorite. But I have a close second, which the close second is actually my favorite movie of all time, but not anyways. Allianz says Coraline. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've watched it, but I think it's been a really long time, so I don't remember it. I remember it being very creepy, of course. Okay, because you have shared mode as well, Coraline. Oh, funny. Thank you for sharing. So one of my other favorite Halloween adjacent, or no, I guess Halloween movies is Coco. And Coco is my favorite movie of all time. I encourage you to watch it. It makes me cry very hard. Priam will know this from experience, and Jackie as well. But yeah, I love Coco. Elodie says, "Oh my god, it's so good." I know, right? It's my favorite movie. It's just my favorite movie. I watched it a couple weeks ago or last week maybe, and I hadn't watched it in a while. Oh, it's so good. Mode cried so much watching Rat. Like it's such a tearjerker. Oh my god. Yeah, Jackie. I know. Yeah, Coco. Priam. So Priam, the person Priam who's commenting. We used to live together. We used to be roommates, and obviously he's a very good friend of mine. And I watched Coco. I think like a couple of years ago, and I watched it first by myself, and I was bawling after. I was just bawling. I remember texting Jackie, who was also in this chat. I remember texting Jackie, being like, "Jackie, are you gonna remember me? Like when I died?" Like it was. Oh my god, I was sobbing. And so I forced Priam to watch Coco with me like a week or so later. And I will never forget. This is one memory that is like stamped into my brain. By the end of the movie, we were both crying so hard. And we were like sitting on the couch and we just like turned to look at each other as we were like bawling. I remember him being mad at me because I made him cry so hard. He says I cry every time. Me too. Me too. When I watched it like last week or whenever it was, like I think I cried within the first like 5 minutes because it's just so emotional. But like anytime I think of the song "Remember Me," it's over. The tear ducts are active. Since Ariane and Mode did share their favorite movies, I do owe you another one. And another one is Beetlejuice. I haven't watched it in years, and I'll try and watch it this weekend, but I do actually really enjoy Beetlejuice. It never really scared me too much, so it's just a really fun, quirky movie that's pretty iconic. So Beetlejuice is another favorite of mine. Elodie asks, "Is Remember Me playable on the flute?" I mean, anything is playable on the flute for sure. Elodie is one of my students, so maybe we can play that together for sure. For sure, I'll look into it. I don't think it'd be very challenging. No, I think it'd be very playable. Yeah, Beetlejuice. Yeah, Jackie. Yes. Has anyone watched or seen or listened to the cast recording of the Beetlejuice musical? Because I have not. The only song I kind of know is "Dead Mom," and I literally only know the first sentence from it, from having like seen it on social media and stuff. But I'm curious to know about the musical. It was really sad that it closed so early when it was doing so well. But I definitely love that movie. I used to also, I used to really, one of my favorite movies used to be Edward Scissorhands. And I used to love Johnny Depp. Don't anymore for many reasons. So I try to avoid his movies at this point. But I used to love Edward Scissorhands. I've watched that movie like 20 times. And I also really love Sweeney Todd. Now I'm just sharing freely, but it's okay. You deserve it. Y'all are so great for sticking with me for so long. Yeah, Ariane, I have seen Sweeney Todd. It is honestly one of my favorite musicals. I love that musical. It is bloody creepy though. It is so scary. I was listening to the cast recording like a few months ago for some reason, And it wasn't even like nighttime or dark or anything, but just listening to it, it gave me like the creeps. I just couldn't listen to the whole thing, but I really, really love that musical. I quite like the movie. I know people don't really love it that much, but I quite like it. Definitely one of my faves. Just disclaimer, I have no more music to play, but I love chatting with y'all, so we can keep going for a little bit before I wrap things up. If anyone else has donated more than $10, let me know. My phone's on airplane mode, so I'm not getting notifications, but let me know. And then I can show you the live cat who lives in this apartment. Oh, I forgot to put my ears back this whole time. Sorry. There. Yes, I know I look like a cat now, but I'm not one. There's a live one. Very close by. Jackie sent via PayPal. On my way to fact check, even though I trust you, obviously. And Mode as well. Thank you, Mode. Thank you to everyone so far who has donated. Jackie has donated more than $10. Mode. Thank you. Holy moly. Y'all are generous. So generous. Sophie, I do prefer Christmas as well. Y'all are not ready for the Christmas concert I have planned, which is not next month, but the month after in December. I'm gonna not refer to it right now because I could go on forever. But yeah, Sophie, I love Christmas. Thank you, Mode. That's so generous. Okay. We will have a live cat very soon. Give me 1 second. I will be back. Are you okay being like on my video? You're so generous. They don't need their own friends. Cat incoming. I'm gonna try and hide the sun, but it's a cat. It's Oscar the cat. It's a real life cat. And this is Maddie, my roommate.
Hello.
Isn't she the cutest? And she's purring. She's happy. She's the sweetest. I was lying down in bed a couple hours before the concert, and she was lying on top of me, and then I was like, well, guess I can't move now. Oh, it's a cat. She's purring so hard. Ah. We're gonna see if you could hear. Isn't that the cutest? She's not like a black cat, but she's very close. So fits for Halloween. Don't you see the similarities? We look so similar. Just 2 cats hanging out. Thank you.
No, my pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.
How cute is that cat? I know, I'm very lucky. I'm very, very lucky. Oh, before we go, any final suggestions? I'll confirm the name. So we have Le Chèvre, suggested by Mode. Any other suggestions? You can. I almost want to say Jack just because Nightmare Before Christmas. That's honestly the only name I could think of that is fitting for this pumpkin. But I don't really love that character that much, so. All right, so we're gonna wrap up. It's the end of the show. Of course, if you haven't already, I know some of you have. That is so generous of you to have sent donations my way, you can still send me donations. You can send for a week after today, so until next Saturday. But I will already start to send money to people in need, Indigenous people in need in the Montreal area. You can check out the Facebook group through which I find people to send money to. And please join the group because, of course, I am alternating each month which community I'm raising money for. So I can't always be, I don't always have the financial ability to send money every time someone posts in the group. So it's important to have a lot of people join the group. And on the off months, when I can't send money directly to those people, if some of y'all want to send the money, that would be amazing. Share with your friends so they can join the group. And the more people join, the more chances there are that Indigenous people will have their financial needs met, which is really important. Of course, check out all of the other links that I left in the description box for some really important information. Of course, I'd be happy to chat with you about it. If you have questions or just want to discuss with me, you can always send me messages. And mark your calendars for the next concert. It's going to be on Saturday, November 28th, which is the last Saturday of November at 1 p.m. as well on this YouTube channel. I'll be sticking to YouTube from now on. And a theme for next concert will be Sonatas Across Time. It might not seem that interesting if you're not, a musician maybe, but you definitely won't want to miss the composers that I'm featuring in this concert. I personally am very excited and proud of the program that I came up with the help of my friends, my musician friends. I don't want to give too much away. So make sure to tune in on November 28th. Thank you so much for tuning in to this live stream. It was so fun. Thank you so much to everyone who donated already. Thank you for commenting, engaging with me. Y'all are the best. I could literally do this for the rest of the day, but I won't. But I had so much fun. Just checking the comments one last time. Sophie says thank you. Mo says thank you. Thank you for being here. Oh, Ariane has a suggestion, I think, for the Mode. Okay, Mode suggests Miguel for the pumpkin. Aw. And Ariane suggests Coco. Those are very good suggestions. Wow. Why didn't I think of that? Elodie says thank you for doing it. Oh, thank you. Yes, this stream will be up, more or less forever on my channel. So you can share with your friends still. You could watch anytime you want. And throughout the week, I'll be uploading the individual pieces just by themselves as individual videos if you want to watch those or listen to those as well. Thank you so much. Happy Halloween. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. I loved chatting with all of you, and I just hope you have a great Halloween, and I will see you very soon, but if not, on November 28th. All right. Have a nice day. Bye, everyone.